Welcome back, Swifties. Spring is in the air. Are you feeling better? Are you feeling good? I hope so. Today I'm going to check out False God, Taylor Swift, of course, from Saturday Night Live. Quite a few people have been requesting this. I'm going to get into Lover, the album, over on Patreon. Around about when I put this video out, probably. I've heard some of the songs off it, of course, from like City of Lover and a few other bits and pieces, but I don't think I've heard this one. So let's check it out.
Once again, Taylor Swift.
We were crazy to think that this could work. Remember how I said I'd die for you? We were stupid to jump in the ocean, separating us. Remember how I'd lie to you? And I can't.
It's never ceases to amaze me, really, the scope of genres that she explores, you know, not just musically, I suppose, but like stylistically, like the visuals. Visually, it's great, isn't it? You know, I mean, always great clothes. Those pants are great, but I love how that starts off with the sax, and then such a simple drum beat, and then she comes in with that kind of R&B melody, isn't it? And I love these lamps as well. Like some, I don't know, well, they're not like Edison bulbs, are they? You know, but I love just seeing this. It's just such a cool design choice. Gonna start it again, of course.
Once again, Taylor Swift.
We were crazy to think that this could work. Remember how I said I'd die for you?
The keys, they're great there as well, aren't they? You know.
We were stupid to jump in the ocean, separating us. Remember how I'd lie to you? And I can't talk to you when you're like this, staring out the window like I'm not your favorite town. I'm New York City. I still do it for you, babe. They all warned us about times like this. They say the road gets hard and you get lost when you're led by blind faith, blind faith. But we might just get away with it. Religion's in your lips, even if it's a false guide. We still worship. We might just get away.
What's wonderful about this is the sort of sparsity. Is that the word? You know, and I love a sax. You know, it always makes me think of George Michael, Careless Whisper, isn't it? You know, and then what's other good examples? Texas Midnight Runners, or always had the sort of brass element, although I do know saxophone is a woodwind. That's let's digress a little bit. I haven't done that for a while. When I was in like junior schools, they're like around 8 years old. The teachers came in at the start of the year. Right, who wants to learn a musical instrument? Yeah, everyone, great. So you had to pick the groups that you were in, and then like the week after you would go into these different classes, I guess, and then they would split you up into instruments. So I guess there was brass, certainly. There was woodwind, maybe another set of instruments, I forget. But I wanted to learn the saxophone as an 8-year-old, probably because of Lisa Simpson, I suppose. So I put my name down in the brass, and then when I got there, they gave you a choice between the trombone or the trumpet, and I was like, no, I want to learn that one. And they're like, oh no, that's woodwind, and it was too late to change the groups. You know, wouldn't let me change. So I ended up sort of messing around on trombone for, I don't know, maybe a year or two. Never got really any good at it. But maybe one day I will have a go. I've never had a go, even on a saxophone. Maybe I should. But the space is just beautiful. And already I can't wait to hear how it sounds on the album in comparison. This is just beautiful, man. I'm going to take it back away to the start again.
We were crazy to think that this could work. Remember how I said I'd die for you? We were stupid to jump in the ocean, separating us. Remember how I'd lie to you? And I can't talk to you when you're like this.
It's almost like playing a character as well, isn't it? I suppose that she gets into for the different eras. I suppose, you know, the little head nod. You know, I couldn't tell you who I've seen doing it, but it's very sort of reminiscent of R&B videos and tropes, isn't it? I guess.
Staring out the window like I'm not your favorite town. I'm New York City. I still do it for you, babe. They all warned us about times like this. They say the road gets hard and you get lost when you're led by blind faith, blind faith. But we might just get away with it. Religions in your lips, even if it's a false guide. We still worship. We might just get away with it. The altar is my hips, even if it's a false guide. We still worship this Allah. We'd still worship this Allah. We'd still worship this Allah. I know heaven's a thing. I go there when you touch me, honey. Hell is when I fight with you. But we can patch it up good. Make confessions and we're begging for forgiveness. Got the wine for you. You can't talk to me when I'm like this. Daring you to leave me just so I can try and scare you. You're the West Village.
Daring me to leave you just so I can try and scare you. It paints a great picture, doesn't it? I guess of would that be like a toxic relationship? I guess it's got to be, right? I suppose I don't have the experience to know, but you know, I've seen movies, I've read books, I know people. And so this feels like about a couple that's always, you know, arguing. There was a line earlier on. What was that mash play? But I'm going to take it back a bit. There was a line earlier on that I was going to pause it and talk about them, but when something about the altar being her hips or something, you know, that was good imagery as well.
Worship this Allah. We'd still worship this Allah.
Yeah, I love that delay on that snare. Who's this sax player as well? Is he known for any other stuff? Does anybody know what this dark guy's called?
I know heaven's a thing. I go there when you touch me, honey. Hell is when I fight with you.
Yeah, it's good. It paints a good image, doesn't it?
We can patch it up good. Make confessions and we're begging for forgiveness. Got the wine for you. You can't talk to me when I'm like this. Daring you to leave me just so I can try and scare you. You're the West Village. You still do it for me, babe. They all warned us about times like this. They say the road gets hard and you get lost when you're led by blind faith. Blind faith.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept as well, isn't it? You get lost if you're led by blind faith. Because some kind of faith is important, I guess, isn't it? In life, certainly. Faith in yourself. To begin with, right? But yeah. I suppose as the older I get more interested in sort of religious ideas. RE was like religious education at school was one of my favourite subjects, but unfortunately, in the crappy school I went to, or crappy schools I went to, plural, all the other kids just found it ridiculous, and would sort of misbehave for most of it. So I never really learnt that much, but I found it interesting, why people believe different things, why are there different religions, and all that sort of stuff. And I guess then I sort of moved away from that into an extremely atheistic sort of model, I guess, and just kind of thought, there's no rhyme or reason to life or anything really, when you're dead, you're dead and that. And now I guess I've come full circle, but I don't really know I really began there, I guess when I was real young, it was kind of like I had a belief in God just because that's what people told me, was a thing. I certainly understand now that we only experience life through the frequencies that we can detect, right? Whether that's through sound or vision. But there's obviously a lot going on that we can't experience, which is evident just in the fact that you can turn the radio on and those waves are there, aren't they? You just can't hear them until you turn the radio on. So what am I trying to get at? I don't know. But I have found, especially bands like The Verve, Richard Ashcroft uses a lot of religious sort of imagery in his songs, which I loved when I was a teenager, but never really got. But now, in the second half of my 30s, I'm revisiting a lot of the stuff I was listening to when I was a teenager, and finding deeper meaning in it. And I'm enjoying watching things, analysing biblical texts, or any religious text, really. I find all the ideas sort of fascinating now, and how they can be applied, I suppose, to your own life, And maybe that's what, maybe dogma is a bit of a problem, do you think? I don't know. I'm certainly leaning towards the idea of reincarnation, I suppose, or at the very least choosing to come here for this experience, which if you're having a pretty rubbish experience through no fault of your own, I guess that's difficult to square, right, to get your head around. But if that's not true, or it's a delusion, I find it's a beneficial one at the minute, because it kind of helps with the things that I can't control, and makes me just try and be more conscious, and less compulsive, and control and affect the things I can control, But yeah, just interesting, isn't it?
But we might just get away with it.
I like this bit a lot, this melody.
Your lips, even if it's a false sky, we still worship. We might just get away with it. The altar
So that's interesting as well, isn't it? I guess the idea of false gods or worshipping a love that is bad for you, you know, even if you know things are bad for you, sometimes it's... I can't remember exactly what it was I saw, but it was explained really well in that, you know, familiar chaos, it often feels preferable to, you know, unfamiliar order. Is that the right? I know that it's the opposite, isn't it, of chaos, but is that the right word to use? You know, safety, you know. So even, I suppose, familiar danger or familiar chaos is psychologically and maybe even emotionally preferable in the moment to unfamiliar safety or security. And that's like things I've experienced in trying to stop drinking, it took a long time, I think, after I'd stopped to sort of to get rid of those like desires, I suppose. And or, you know, what is it? It's behaviour. I don't know what it is I'm trying to say. But what is it? What is that? That's like, whether it's, you know, toxic behaviours, toxic relationships, toxic childhoods is probably where it all starts, right? When you get programmed, you know, for want of a better word. But what is it that... Why does that, you know, familiar chaos feel so safe, you know, even if it's like, even if, you know, it's painful or whatever? I guess there's a fear of the unknown, isn't it? That's one aspect of it, is fear of the unknown, consciously or unconsciously, you know. Fear of the unknown, because what's familiar just often feels safer, I guess, doesn't it? Even if it's not necessarily so.
Still worship this love, even if it's a false god. Even if it's a false god, still worship this love.
Nice. Yeah, well, in summary, it sounds nice, that tune. I'm not as taken with it on the first listen as I've been with some others, but I'm very interested to hear the studio version and where it sits in the run of the album, you know, because I've heard other songs from the album. I am going to check out The Lover over on Patreon soon, like, so it might even be out by the time I do this, put this reaction out, and if it is, I'll put the link in the description. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Lots of love to you. Have a great week. I'll see you next time.